work with diamonds. Diamond is a shape, much like a square or a circle, and it has 4 sides, just like a square, but it's a little bit longer. See, even if I turn it on its side, it's not quite like a square. This is a diamond. We're going to make kites for the windy spring days out of our diamond shapes. Have your parent print out this handout with 4 diamonds on it. And the first step is to put patterns on these diamonds, and that's what's going to be our kites. First step, we're going to decorate our kites. So in one kite, we can put X's in a pattern. We've talked about patterns before. They repeat over and over and over, and this kite is going to have X's in it. The next kite could have O's or circles in it. The next kite might have stripes in it. And finally, the last kite, I'm going to make like a checkerboard. You might think of other patterns too to work on. On the background, we're going to make swirls or loops all over the background for the windy skies. And we're going to use a white crayon. Now it's going to be hard to see the white crayon on the white paper until we get the watercolor on there. So for right now, you can make little loops or swirls all throughout the sky. Lots and lots of them. You'll know they're there because you did them, but they won't show up until we paint the watercolor paint over the white waxy crayon on these little loops, okay? The next step is to use watercolor. We're going to use watercolor over the waxy crayon for resist. We've done resist before. So I took a little bit of water and I have put it into my watercolor tray, and then I'm going to paint it right on top of my kite. You can see how the watery watercolor resists off the waxy crayon, and it shows right through. We're going to cut these out so you can go outside the lines this time. Think about your colors. Try to use a color that contrasts. This is a yellow crayon, so I don't want to put yellow on top of yellow. You won't see anything. Maybe here I'll put a little bit of green on top of the yellow, and then you can see the yellow crayon showing through the green waxy green watercolor. Then same thing over here, blue, so I'm going to put some orange watercolor on top of that one. And the blue crayon will show up through the orange. And then finally on the purple, I'll put a little bit of yellow on there. You choose whatever color you would like, but just try to make it so that it contrasts. We're going to let this dry and work on our background. Remember, this paper has swirls all over it. We can't see the swirls because they're white. So now we're going to paint some blue watercolor on top of our white crayon swirls. And this time we're going to cover the whole entire piece of paper, all the way out to the edges. That's why I've got a little bit of newspaper here so that I don't get paint on the table. And this is going to be the sky for my kites to fly in. And we have those swirly wind blowing our kites around. So let's paint that up. Remember, this is watercolor, so you should use lots of water with the watercolor. And we're gonna let these 2 pieces of paper dry really good before the next step. Okay, everything's dry now. So I'm gonna use my scissors to cut out my diamond kites. Try to cut on the black line. Remember to use the scissors to cut away from your body. And you're just gonna cut right on the line. Try to really focus, not so much on cutting inside the line or outside the line, but right on that black line. The slower you cut, the more accurate you can be when cutting those out. So spend a little time cutting out your 4 diamonds now that they're dry. And finally, I'm going to glue the kites into the sky. Hold each one, touch the paper with your glue bottle, draw a little diamond inside the diamond. You could put a tiny bit in the center if you want to. And then use pincher fingers to flip it over and glue it in the sky. So we'll do that with each one of our kites. Make sure your glue bottle touches the paper when you glue it so you don't make a big puddle. You want to draw a line with the glue rather than just pour it in the center of the piece of paper. There we go. All right, so I have kites flying in the sky, and I can even put strings on the kites where we are holding on to those strings so they don't fly away in the wind. Lovely! There you go. We have some kites now flying around in our windy April sky. Enjoy!